Just his versatility. I mean, if you look at him, he's 215 pounds, coming out of the SEC, coming out of Texas. Coming in the Big 12, we knew we would have to have a big footprint in Texas, and he kind of started that this spring. Even for the 25 class, we already have 8 to 9 commits coming out of the state of Texas. We knew we wanted to have players from the state of Texas, and he was one of the top running backs in the country last year. Got a chance once he went in the portal to talk to the young man and kind of see what his expectation was for his next destination. And I felt we checked all the boxes for what he was looking for. And he definitely checked the box what we were looking for. I mean, he's a former, at 215 pounds, in high school he was a 48 feet triple jumper. So that type of athleticism, that type of contact balance and all that, when you see how he's built, he had a great 8 weeks this past summer working out with our strength staff. You're going to see some things different that he brings to the table. And he's young. He's only a true sophomore. So I think he was the cherry on the top for the group. So I'm really excited that we have him.
And then you mentioned it, the state of Texas, that was clearly an emphasis for you guys in terms of recruiting. You guys brought in a lot for the 2025 class. You went out and got guys like that. How big of a deal is the state of Texas, and how has it been with Arizona being out there? What kind of, what kind of welcoming have you gotten from high schools out there?
Well, being in the Big 12 matters. That's why they switched conferences. The Pac-12 was a great conference. I'm from California. Born and raised California, so I know about the Pac-12 and hate to see it, not be current because it was so relevant in my life. But the Big 12, we always paid attention to the Big 12. Even though you're from California, you paid attention to the football in the Big 12. And then ironically, they played Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl, a Big 12 football team. So to be able to have that footprint and know if we're going to be in this conference, we have to get in that state and have a presence. And the open arms that we've gotten so far is just tremendous. Like we have the 8 commits already for the class of 25. We still got a couple more guys we're working on, and we're already working on kids from Texas in the class of 26. But we do understand our footprint. It's not just Texas. We still have California deep ties, Hawaii ties, the state of Arizona. We have 4 of the top 20 prospects in the state of Arizona committed already. So we always want to take care of home. The state of Arizona is always going to be a priority for us. But, Texas is right next door, so we want to be able to recruit out of there. And with a lot of our staff from California, that's always going to be important to us also. So going into Big 12, we just knew it would give us that national stamp, that national brand to be able to get in the state and be able to show that we're going to be able to compete with those great teams over there already in the conference. And the players have so far so good. They're buying in. They're excited about playing here in Tucson against the teams that are still in the state of Texas, which is some great programs.
So when you talk about, a lot of California ties with this coaching staff, who were the coaches that kind of helped you get your footing in the door of Texas? I mean, obviously Joanna Keenup being a coach at Texas, and Babers has been a coach in a Texas school as well. Are those some of them, and who are the guys that really made their mark there?
Well, of course, Coach Akina, that's a living legend. Who I remember going to a coach's clinic, invited when I was the head coach at Contra Costa Junior College. Mac Brown flew me out there to speak at the coach's clinic at UT, and Coach Akina was on that staff. So I followed his career. He coached my cousin, Marcel Wade, which played here for Coach Tomey back in Arizona heyday. So he just has so much respect in the state, but we knew we needed to really flood it and get out there and get after it. Ty Nichols, which is one of our young up-and-coming coaches, knee-deep, a lot of Texas ties, did a great job. Of myself, I specifically, give me Houston and Dallas. I wanted to get deep down to Houston and Dallas. Was able to get, some guys committed from that area and just try to really work this. Because I knew some of those coaches, even when I was at San Jose State, because I'm a member of the National Coalition for Minority Football Coaches. So a lot of those minority coaches are part of that, but I wasn't able really to recruit out of state like that. So having ties in the state, I already had them. I just never could recruit them. So I immediately asked for specific spots and got on the plane. I went to Texas before I went to California. My first few weeks out, I was in Houston and Dallas. So just being out there, Bobby Wade obviously did a great job getting out there. He has Texas ties, and it was just important that we had a blueprint from Geisker Crowley, our GM, and Fletcher Kelly, our director of recruiting. They gave us the blueprint of who we need to go target, who we need to go see, and we just kind of all put our heads together and made sure that we had a deep, deep presence in Texas. And we're going to continue to do that, but also hold on to our natural organic ties in California and Hawaii. We have ties as well.
What has been the reception from recruits in terms of you guys being first year here at Arizona? They're coming off of that success. What have you seen from the recruits that when you're on these visits, what have they been telling you about Arizona? What have you heard from them?
Well, they believe in the community. The community of Tucson is wonderful, man. Even me coming from the Bay Area my whole life, and my cousin played here way back in '89. I remember when he picked Arizona over USC and University of Washington at the time, and I was like, why are you going to Arizona? Well, Coach told me, number one, and then just the people here in Tucson, they just love football. They just embrace you. They make you feel a part of this. And if you visit this campus and you see this campus and you see our facilities and you meet the people, it just draws you in. I remember my first day here, I shed a tear. I cried because I couldn't believe after all these years having a first cousin that played here, and now I'm here with Coach Brennan, which he GA'd here way back with Coach Babers. This is a real thing, and we'll get a chance to do something special. They've already started it, and then you got guys like the Noah Fafitas of the world that just are so humble and they just want to work. They're all about the work. So when you see guys like that, some of the leaders, and they welcome you the way they welcomed us and chose to come back here and play, him and T-Mac and Dalton and Maldonado, all those guys chose to come back. And it was just like, man, we can make this thing special. One of my favorite players on the team is Big Jonah. I love Jonah. He always got the smile on his face, and he just works. So when you get to come to work every day and you see that, and then you see how people receive us on campus, in the community, it makes it special. And if I'm a recruit, I'm selling, I'm showing them this is what this is. This is how it is to be a student athlete here at the University of Arizona. And it's real. It's nothing you got to oversell. It's nothing that you have to, it's nothing that you have to draw this picture of something that they can't touch or feel. They can feel it from the time they get off the plane to the time they get on the campus or get on the facilities and get around the staff. It's a real thing going on here, and we're just trying to keep this thing going and taking it to the next level.
People are excited about this running back battle, but what most excites you about trying to flesh this all out?
Hey, man, I'm just, like I said, you're going to hear me say this over and over and over. I'm just very thankful and blessed to be at a Power 5 program, especially here at the University of Arizona, coaching such terrific young men, having the talent in the room, being able to inherit some young guys in Brandon Johnson and Rayshawn Speedy Luke. They were here, and then once Kweli Conley came over in the portal in the spring, just bringing that work ethic, knowing how I coach, knowing how I operate, he brought that to the table. And then at the end of spring, adding Ja'Cory Merritt and Kedrick Reescano to the mix, I feel we have one of the more deepest athletic backfields in the Big 12 and probably even in the country. So I'm just excited. I just can't mess it up.
So what do you have to identify quickly, and how quickly do you have to identify who the guys at the forefront are going to be?
It's all about fit. It's all about the team. It's all about the system. It's all about being able to be unselfish. Last year I had 2 of the top 10 rushers in the country as far as yards per carry, and that took some unselfish behavior. That took some being a good teammate. We preach that, being a great teammate. So there's more than one way to affect the football game. A lot of time people always talk about the backfield piece. I'm more excited to see how many of my guys are going to be on special teams. How many of them can affect us winning a game. Remember, I'm giving you an exclusive. You're getting a scoop. When you see one of my running backs not only run back a kick, but block a punt or something like that, you're going to say Coach Carter said that in the spring. Running backs are probably the most athletic guys on the football team. So there's more than just one way to affect the game, whether it be catching the ball, whether it be picking up a blitzing linebacker in pass pro. We take a lot of pride in that stuff. So I'm going to make sure that I play to the strengths of their talents, put them on the field, and create different ways to use all of them, create different ways to emphasize. There's 3 phases of football: offense, defense, and special teams. So you will see a large percentage of my guys involved in special teams. I don't know, in their background, if that's in their background prior, but it will be moving forward. You will see those guys running out, not just as returners, but I'm talking about punt team, punt return. And I'm not talking about catching the return. Go block a punt. Go be the off returner and block for the guy that is returning. Affect the game in so many different ways. Coach Gonzalez and his staff is going to do a great job of putting the best players on the football field, the best 11 on them special teams. Well, 4 or 5 of those better be running backs, because you're going to sit over there and wait on your turn. No, you better be part of that game, and a third of football is special teams. So I'm really more excited about to see that part of it, because I think a guy like Rayshawn Luke could be the Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Year. And we've already had that conversation. That's my challenge to him, because you don't get 5'9", 175 running 10-3 too often. He can affect the game in so many different ways. So that's my challenge to him, and I'm excited to see him. And I think it's going to be a fun group. It's going to be an exciting group. It's going to be competitive. Practices every day, and I will make sure that I push the right buttons to do what's best for this football team.
I talked to a buddy of mine in New Mexico who described Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt as a smaller version of Eddie George. Is that a fair comparison?
Ooh, I know Eddie, man. Eddie, my man. Eddie's one of the best ever. I can't give him that yet. I love Eddie. Eddie, you know this. I hope you see this, Eddie. That's my guy. I'm a personal friend of Eddie George. I'm a fan of Eddie George. But let's you talk about a Hall of Famer, Heisman Trophy winner. So let's see him play a little bit in the Big 12 yet before we give him that. He is very talented. He's a special talent, and he can do some special things, and he works real hard. When you see his body, how he's changed over the summer, he's 206 pounds of just all muscle, and just brings a tremendous work ethic and a tremendous attitude, big old smile to his face. He's very serious, and he wants to take that next step. So my challenge to him is pushing him even harder, making sure he can be the next special running back. I'm not going to give him Eddie George yet, but the next special one. But I think you'll see some special things out of him.